Welcome to this week in the world of wrestling.
Welcome to TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web. Today, I'm John, that's my cohort and commentary, Ashton, and this is our Lucha Underground review. And holy amazeballs, what an episode this was this week. But you know what, I'm gonna tone it down just a bit, because I have a question right out of the box for my cohort and commentary here. How is it that in 1 hour, Lucha Underground can give us so much content, so much progression for the proceeding week and future stories? How is it they could give us that much in comparison to what a Raw gives us in 3 hours? I don't understand it.
I don't know the correct answer, but in my opinion, it's a combination of three things.
Okay.
First of all, everybody has a story, whether it's a backstory or a current in-progress story that's going on. Everybody has a story. Second of all, because of the fact that it's only an hour long, you get that roster rotation that we always praise for NXT, and therefore we don't get sick of anybody.
Right.
And third of all, they don't have pay-per-views, so they can build each week on the next week.
Yes. I mean, there's so much I want to talk about with you, Ashton, but you know what? I don't want to delay, so I'm going to get right into our first segment, Heat of the Night. I don't have any heats of the night tonight. There's zero complaints about this show. What about you, Ashton?
No, this was another example of a week where I almost had a heat of the night, but then they did something that completely took it back.
Okay, well, I am going to pry a little bit. Where did they come close, and how did they skirm around the edge?
For the Aerostar versus Drago match, I was starting to be like, well, why are we doing this again? I don't understand why they feel the need to put these two guys against each other. Maybe they should use Phoenix. Maybe they should use Argenis. I want something different. I don't want to see the same match. But then at the end of the match, freaking Cueto comes out and sets up a best out of 5 series. And I'm like, okay, I'm in.
Yeah, with a prize at the end, which we'll get a little bit more into that a little later. But, I mean, heck, let's get right into it because I'm so jazzed up right now. Let us get right into our Lucha Underground review. And we get recaps of everything. We get all the resets of all of our prominent stories, I guess, that are going to be highlighted this week. Then we get our cinematic open with a car driving through the streets. Now, I didn't catch it. I must have been focused on my food or whatever I was eating at the time. But Ashton pointed out that you could see Angela Fong in the trunk of this car.
Yeah, they did like a really cool X-ray effect where they kind of like made the car invisible and you could see Angela Fong laying in the area that would be the trunk.
Dude, oh God, we talk about it like every Lucha Underground review, so I don't want to be redundant here or just beat it over the point, but I just love how they infuse those cinematic qualities with wrestling, where it's just like you're watching a movie alongside a wrestling product. It's so good.
And that's another thing that I wanted to say. So I guess it would be a fourth point that I was talking about earlier. They change up their format so consistently. And the beautiful thing is they don't change up their format in a predictable way. It's not like they start with cinematic open, then a promo, then a match, then a cinematic open, then a promo, then a match. It's not, there's no real pattern to it. I mean, obviously it's not actual randomness, but it feels random. It feels like there is no true format, and they change it up every single week. And even this week, the last 2 or 3 weeks, we've had just cold, like, that's it, that's all, folks, kind of closes. This week, it felt like we were going to get that, and then we went into a cinematic close, which is something that we had gotten used to prior to the last couple of weeks. But now tonight, when it looked like we were going to close on just like, okay, well, that's it, folks, and the match is over, they tricked us again, and they brought back the cinematic closer. I love the way that they're constantly varying the format of the show. I cannot praise that enough, because it's a problem that WWE has fallen into so drastically. And I'm not even just going to say recently, but I mean like over the course of the last 2 to 3 decades, they've been doing the same crap every single week from a format standpoint. And that I blame on Kevin Dunn. But even NXT sometimes starts to fall into that trap a little bit. They're a little bit better about it, but that's one thing that I can honestly say Lucha Underground just flat out does better than everyone else.
Absolutely. I could not praise this opening enough. You're going to hear me praise Lucha Underground a lot tonight, but to continue on, because this is where we do get our Drago versus Aerostar matchup, right? Because we go from the cinematic open to our first match, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
You open up with Aerostar versus Drago, and it's funny because when I first saw Aerostar in the ring, it's like he's so small. My immediate instinct went, oh, look, there's Masquerade to Sagrada. He's back early. But then they zoomed in and they showed that he was gold and not white. And I was like, oh, wait, never mind. That's Aerostar.
Yeah. And we, of course, his opponent, Drago, who you and I both love, and he's a favorite in the temple. Just such a great look and everything else. This is a nice back-and-forth matchup. Aerostar did a cool move, from the, second middle rope, crossbody over the top. That was pretty nice. Drago did his sick-looking pinning combination.
The Dragon Tail.
The Dragon Tail. I love it, dude.
So good.
So, yeah, a lot of great back-and-forth here, some unique counters. Ultimately, though, Aerostar does get the win because he does a vaulting over powerbomb off the apron onto the floor to Drago. Then he gets him back in the ring. Then he does kind of like that springboard splash that Rey Mysterio kind of does off the top
flying
rope.
Squirrel.
Yeah, the flying squirrel. And he gets the pin. And then to Ashton's point, Cuerno comes out because they do the show of respect again, just like they did at the end of their first match, and says, hey, since you guys love each other so much, you're going to see more of each other, and I want to see more of you, and that's a compliment. And here's what I love, because we know that we're getting our best of 5 series, as you already alluded to, Ashton, but the thing is, there's one of those classic Dario Cueto prizes at the end. And why I'm so in love with this is you look at a guy like Aerostar, who, to me, seemed like he was just kind of lost in the shuffle. Seemed like he was just like another hand, you know what I'm saying? Like really just, hey, Aerostar, can you do this match kind of guy. And Drago, after his feud with Cuerno, I thought he kind of lost a little bit of steam, even though I still loved him, and I know you did too. So to know now that these series of matches, they carry a purpose rather than just, oh, it's great wrestling, who's the better guy, is so refreshing to see guys in their particular level on the card get a story like this, because now I'm wondering what the prize is at the end. It could be the number 1 contendership of the Lucha Underground title. It could be a wholly original prize like the $100,000 that kind of started Lucha Underground with Puma, Mundo, and everybody else fighting over it. Right. Who knows with Cueto? And that's where I think the allure really is.
Yeah, and to me, what I love about this is that it opens up the possibility that one of these guys can turn on the other by the end of this series. Like, they just get pissed off, like, man, you were just being too physical out there, and I thought this was a friendly competition, but you ended up making it personal, and so now I'm going to take it into my own hands, and I'm going to get you before you can get me, and that kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely.
And even if that doesn't happen, then it's even more impressive, because that's the Wrestling 101 storyline. You go with, these two baby faces going into a feud with each other, and next thing you know, one of them has to turn heel so that we have somebody to cheer for. But if if you want to make it different, you would keep them both babyface throughout the whole thing. I would praise it either way. And to me, that's almost sort of better than not doing the 3 out of 5 at all. Because in this case, it's like no matter what you do, whether you keep them both babyface, where you turn one of them heel, or whether they maybe team up at the end of it, there are so many ways you can go, and they would all be good.
Absolutely. I completely agree. I'm telling you, I went from just thinking, oh, well, these will be solid wrestling matches, and I'll have fun with them, to no, there's another story going on here. And again, I'm only going to say this once, because I could say this for a lot of the segments here, so I'm going to say it once, and you can kind of brush stroke it throughout the entire show. It goes back to me saying, and what I've been saying the past few reviews, this brand has such confidence in any story it's writing. It's juggling so many stories, and it has the confidence itself to not drop any of the balls and to lose control. It's amazing, because now they've got another one in the mix. Now they've got Drago and Aerostar doing something. It's like, come at us. We'll give a story to anybody and everybody, and I love that. I absolutely love that. So, yeah, this series should be good. It's been a while since we've seen, a best of 5 series, in any promotion. So, personally, the purist in me, I'm looking forward to it, man. It's going to be good stuff.
I mean, you almost have to wonder, with the way that they're writing these stories, you kind of have to wonder, maybe B-Boy and Ricky Mandel and all these guys that Pentagon Jr.'s beaten up are going to, or not B-Boy, Famous B. Maybe they're all going to kind of come back and try and get their revenge on Pentagon.
Maybe, or hey, maybe they'll just realize, how they were treated at the hands of Pentagon, and even prior to that, seeing that their careers were going nowhere, they'll team up and there'll be some kind of heel faction. You never know.
Maybe they'll bow down to Pentagon's master.
Maybe, maybe him breaking their arm is like almost like a weird conversion
initiation.
process.
Yeah.
You never know with this, Brent, but you know what the thing is? It isn't even a case of, oh, do what I tell you or this story's going to suck or, oh, it has to be this way, because whatever they do, I'm just excited to see it all play out, and it just feels so good to feel that way about your wrestling again. Yep. I'm telling you, Wednesday's like my favorite day of the week now, man. It's crazy.
It really has become that, hasn't it? It's for me, too.
Yeah, it's nuts, man. So,
oh, man. So up next, we had a little bit of like a video package showing the King Cuerno arrow shot suicide dive. And I love it because they do it in slow motion. They show him hitting the rope on one side and then the other side and then shooting through the ropes on. I'm going to go ahead and say it, dude. I love that they're featuring this. And the reason is I think that King Cuerno has the best suicide dive in the business today.
He does. I won't. There's no contention there. He absolutely does. If anybody has not seen it, maybe you can find an isolated clip on YouTube or go back and just watch it on an episode of Lucha Underground that you know he's on, because it is perfection. And what I love about it now that, because whenever you and I record, the show kind of gets a chance to kind of like stew in my mind and I get to mull things over. That maneuver did play a big part in his match with Johnny Mundo later in the night, which I cannot wait to talk about that, but I'm going to be patient. But why I love this, also independent of that, it was just so different. Again, I don't want to be a broken record here, but like I've never really seen anything like that, because you'd expect King Cuerno to talk. Maybe there'd be like some dramatic narration. No, it's just going through the motions, showing you it. And there's like an aesthetic quality to it that I really appreciated. Because I'm like, you know what, you're just seeing this guy execute his move, his bow and arrow that strikes in the hearts of his prey, because going on that whole hunter gimmick.
Which is so perfect, too.
It is. That's the word, Ashton. It's perfect. I don't know how many variations there are to the word perfect, but I'd use every single one to describe a character like Cuerno because it's so on point.
Oh, man. I think you're about to get a list of dictionary synonyms for perfect.
Yeah, I'm telling you, somebody in the comments is going to come through for us. I know it, because we, especially on our Lucha Underground reviews, our commenters just always come through. So I know I just laid a challenge down without meaning to, but good luck with that, guys.
Yeah. Yep. So after the King Cuerno arrow shot suicide dive video package, we had our second match of the night, Cage versus Prince Puma, which was set up last week. Cage asking for the match and asking to be named the true Lucha Underground champion, set up, and Cage wins tonight and he gets a title shot.
This was just insanity.
I don't get me wrong, dude. I absolutely loved Cuerno versus Mundo to finish the night, but I think this was my favorite match of the night.
I wouldn't blame you. Anybody who would say, yeah, and you know what? I'm even kind of torn. And that should really say something, because
I think that if you include the post-match brawl, I would have to say Cuerno Mundo, but just the match, I have to say Cage Puma.
You know what? I think I'm gonna use your exact model. I'd say if we're going matches alone, I'm sorry, like I love Mundo to death, but I have to be honest. I think Cage and Puma really showed up. However, like overall segment and everything else, yeah. And again, I gotta be patient because I don't want to reveal my hand too soon. But focusing on Puma and Cage, man, were these guys so good. I'll admit it seemed like they had a little hiccup early out of the box. I know if Puma was trying to go for like a Hurricane Rana.
Yeah, I noticed that too, but they recovered from it and you forgot.
They did. They really recovered
from
it.
They made you forget that ever happened.
Dude, with what they did for the remainder of this match, like I just threw it aside, and everybody else did too, and I think that's really saying something, because and this isn't to be insulting to anybody, but I think when you look at today's kind of brand of wrestling fan, normally when it's just like that one or two botches, it's just like, oh no, this match was horrible. But, from where I was watching, like, everybody was into this match, and everybody was loving it, which was great.
I'm kind of starting to feel like Cage is, like, the perfect athlete, with the only downside being sometimes he doesn't even realize his own limits.
Yeah.
Because, like, anytime he botches, it's because he's trying to do something that he's already done a bunch of times that somebody his size shouldn't be physically able to do.
Right. It's so weird, right? Because the guy's a freak. The guy is an absolute freak. Like, guys, if you haven't seen his work outside of Lucha Underground, I mean, we've told you guys that me and Ashton now, we watched those two PWG shows, and Cage was part of both of them.
Yeah, he had a one-on-one match with Uha Nation, who I believe is officially now a part of the NXT system, and hopefully we'll see him then soon.
Oh, God.
And he had a fatal four-way. It was him, Uha Nation, Tommaso Ciampa, and Biff Busick, and those were both great matches.
Yeah, and he showed up in both of them, and I loved, and I have loved how Lucha Underground is handling Cage here. And I'm telling you, like, and I always hate making direct comparisons, but it's just the one that keeps coming to mind. He is their answer to Brock Lesnar.
Yep.
Because this guy is just an absolute freak with what he does.
You know what's crazy, though? I realized something today.
Yeah.
In the face, he reminds me of Rob Gronkowski.
You know what? I should know who that is because that name sounds so familiar, but I'm not going to
Gronk from the New England Patriots, number 87, their tight end.
I know.
He was always in the freaking crowd for Mojo Rawley.
Oh, God, that guy. Yeah, you know what? If I'm thinking of who you're saying, then yeah, I could see what you're saying about in the face.
Obviously, they have very different facial hair because Gronk is clean cut and he has that ridiculous, like, oh, I don't really have sideburns. I just have cheek hair that doesn't connect to anything.
And when you want to just talk physique, I mean, Jesus, Cage.
Yeah,
I mean,
Cage is
really,
ridiculous.
As basic as the tagline is, I'm not a man, I'm a machine.
And I love that he doesn't even really have theme music. He just has that vocal clip.
Yeah, he has that vocal clip. And you know what? Like, here's what I was getting ready to say. It seems cheesy and, like, pretty standard for a guy like him, but, you know, it works, though, because I believe it. Like, anybody else, it's like, oh, come on, dude, get over yourself. You're not intimidating anybody. Him? Like, if I was in a bar and I saw that walk in, be like, Jack, I want to get the hell out of there, man. Yep. No, Cage isn't somebody you want to mess with at all, and he proved that again in this match. I'm telling you, him and Puma just went hard. And what I love about Puma, though, like, he did not go down easy. Like, he fought back. And there were points, like, he got super kicks, and Cage seemed like he was just eating them. And there was one point he was going to go for the discus lariat, but then Puma got the enziguri to the back of the head. And these guys just kill each other. Oh, and I would not be doing this match justice until I mentioned the spot that got me to probably pop the biggest. Puma did a freaking springboard, like, shooting star press off the rope onto Cage on the outside. The most beautiful-looking thing I think I've seen in Lucha Underground in recent memory, and oh my god. I was just like, how did he not win the match with that? Then he gets Cage in the ring, and he does a springboard 450. I'm like, what? Puma is insane, dude.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Oh my god. I mean, these guys keep going back and forth. He misses the, I think you said he seemed like he was going for a double moonsault and not his 630.
No, he went for a freaking Phoenix Splash.
Oh, it was a Phoenix Splash? Alright, because I know you popped in, you're like, did he go for a double moonsault? And then you said, oh, and I didn't know if that was the crash or you realized maybe it was a different move. But,
no, I was expecting him, well, because it's freaking Ricochet, and he's probably the only person on the planet that can do a double moonsault. So when he gets up on the rope and his back is facing the ring, I'm thinking, oh my god, is he going to finally do it? Because he's never done it in Lucha Underground. But then he just does the Phoenix Splash. And it's hilarious because the Phoenix Splash is an amazing move, and I would pop if I would see anybody do it in WWE. The last two times we've seen someone do it in WWE, Seth Rollins at Royal Rumble and Adrian Neville at NXT TakeOver Rival, I lost my freaking mind. But because I was expecting the double freaking moonsault, it was disappointing.
You know what? Title matches, my man. Title matches. When the gold's on the line, that's probably when he'll bust that stuff out. But he misses it. Cage gets the lariat. Puma still kicks out, though. Like, they did, like, the crazy near falls, like, who's got the bigger gun blazing here? Conan ends up coming out, I think, while Cage has the stretch muffler on Puma. Because, yeah, when you've got a man bending you that way, that's totally safe, right? And he's just breaking Puma in half. And Puma's not giving up. But then Cage ultimately hits Weapon X. Doesn't go for the cover, though, and Conan ends up throwing in the towel. Now, here's my thing. I didn't really know. Like, part of me really loves this, right? Because it's like, wow, you know, Cage is such a monster. Cage is so dominant. But I think the only reason I have slight reservations about it, it's not even anything Lucha Underground did. It's just that we did kind of get a stoppage recently with NXT TakeOver Rival with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. And I'm like, maybe, I don't know if I would have preferred Cage just go for the pinfall here on Puma. I mean, what did you think of this kind of decision, Ashton?
I love it. I freaking love it, dude, because here's the thing. This is Cage sort of showing a weakness. He gets angry, and when he gets angry, he tends to lose control. But on top of that, this is Conan showing that he's just one step ahead from a tactical standpoint, because not only did he get to, not really exploit, but get to sort of expose a weakness of Cage's, but he helped Puma to live another day, to fight another day.
And see, like, I agree with everything you're saying, right? I think here, too, is another slight problem I have, but, you know, I think it's only so much a problem as, you know, Lucha Underground hasn't yet given the solution, and I do think they have one. That's the thing. Because I've been hearing since day one from Vampiro in his headset say, oh, that Conan, he's bad news, man.
Yep.
Puma, you gotta watch yourself. That Conan, he's a scumbag. You gotta and, like, really just making this guy seem like he's dirt. And yet he saves Puma tonight. He doesn't, like, spit on him and walk away in disgust. He doesn't look at him like, Puma, you know, you had one job and you crapped the bed. No, he, like you said, he was looking out for him. So my question here is, you know, is Conan really looking out for Puma's best interest? Or is he going to do what I've kind of had a feeling he's going to do, only really because of Vampiro and his commentary's getting in my head, that he's going to see Cage, he's going to think, my God, this stallion, like, nobody can stop him, and he's going to hitch his wagon to that meal ticket. I don't know what the end game is here, but they do have me. I mean, they got me gripped.
Yeah, for sure.
So, I mean, like you said, Puma lives to fight another day, but Cage does get his title shot. That is important to note here. So we are going to be seeing these guys for a third time. So Puma got a DQ victory, I should say, a few weeks back. Now tonight, Cage gets the victory by stoppage. Third victory. We're going to have a definitive winner, my man, if that championship is going to change hands. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely going to be an I don't know, man. I kind of want Cage to win the title, but after tonight, man, I don't know if I want Puma to lose it.
Dude, what's so crazy is whether Cage wins the title or Puma keeps it, I'm thinking we have such a crowded class of contenders coming up. I just have that feeling. It's crazy. I personally think Puma's going to keep it, but that's only because of a little segment we got later. In fact, I don't even know if it was after this. But yeah, Conan and Puma ended up kind of hashing some things out. So, what did we get after this, though? What came after this?
After this, we got Sexy Star in Dario Cueto's office.
Oh, yeah.
Telling him that she's sick of all these men trying to help her, like she's some kind of damsel in distress. They kind of establish that she has a problem with the crew. And Cueto tells her, well, what if I give you Big Rick? And she says, look, I don't want a partner. I don't want a man to help me. And he says, no. I don't mean as a partner. I mean as an opponent. And Sexy Star's just confused and trying to figure out what he's talking about. And then Cueto sets up for next week, Sexy Star versus Big Rick, where the winner gets to face the crew. Now, I could be wrong here, but it kind of seems like the winner of that match ultimately comes out a loser because they're facing a 3-on-1 disadvantage.
Yeah, I will agree with you there.
And on that being said, I kind of hope Big Rick wins just because I want him to get his revenge on the crew, whereas Sexy Star pinned one of the guys from the crew last week. So how much revenge does she really need?
Yeah, her revenge comes from
pride.
A pride standpoint, a compassion standpoint, because it's more about her friends, Masquerita Sagrada and Pimpinela Escarlata. Whereas Big Rick, it's like, no, I got a cigar in the eye, okay?
Yeah, exactly.
I get first blood, alright? But I do have to say this. I love how ahead of the curve Lucha Underground is.
Dude, while this show was on, all I kept saying to myself was, this show is so far ahead of its time. It is not even
It is, because, dude,
fair.
Let me put something in perspective for everybody, right? They're doing this whole Sexy Star versus Big Rick, and before that you have Sexy Star saying, look, I don't need men to save me. I'm not some damsel. I'm capable. That's great. And you know what? You can't even say that that's like a new development, because that's been her message since day one. And here's the beauty of it and why I bring all that up. Everybody's in an uproar lately because of Patricia Arquette's speech at the Oscars. It's time women take their place. It's time we're all equal. You see the whole thing, Ashley, in WWE, you know, the give divas a chance. And here Lucha Underground is like, we already treat our women with respect. We ain't got no problem.
Yep.
And I love it. I love it because they're not a product of progress. They are the progress. And that's just what's so brilliant about it. So whether Big Rick wins or Sexy Star wins, this promotion is a winner because they thought to do this match. And Dario Cueto ups his heel heat because he's just thinking, oh, well, you know, I can use Big Rick's bloodlust for vengeance to take care of my Sexy Star problem. So everybody comes out looking fantastic in this. Just awesome. And like you said, even when Big Rick wins, Dario Cueto still wins because, again, takes care of the Sexy Star problem, and it's a 3-on-1 matchup. It's just great.
Yeah.
Awesome stuff.
I love how ahead of its time Lucha Underground is. And I love it, but it's also kind of scary because it seems like people aren't quite like, and when I say people, I don't mean everybody. I mean sort of the mainstream popular, the main pop culture, I shouldn't say popular, pop culture, sort of casual everyman isn't at a point yet where they're ready to kind of accept a lot of the things that Lucha Underground puts forward, which is a shame because it's awesome, but it could also be a negative for Lucha Underground because of, the whole sort of WWE, let's be big enough so that we can't fail kind of thing.
Right. I get exactly what you're saying, but you know what? I hope Lucha Underground keeps its nerve, it keeps its identity going strong, because things like this are what just make me so enthralled with the product. I hope these two, I do. I can imagine Big Rick being tentative and having trepidation in the opening minutes of the match, but I hope Sexy Star beats it out of him, and then they go and they have as legitimate a matchup as they can, considering the stakes. I think next week is going to be very interesting.
No, you know what? No, I don't want Big Rick to be hesitant at all. I don't want Big Rick to, just because he got his eye put out by a cigarette and he's a babyface now, I don't want him to start acting like a white bread babyface where he's afraid to hit a woman and he's afraid to get physical and, no, I don't want that Big Rick. I want him to come out here and freaking punch Sexy Star in the mouth, treat her like an equal, and beat her as an equal.
I agree with you. I'm with you. I'm just saying that's how I expect the match to go, because we kind of got that vibe, the week before. But then again, very different circumstances. I'm hoping Big Rick is so focused on vengeance, he sees Sexy Star for really exactly what she is, an obstacle. Not man, not woman, just obstacle. And if you're in my way, I'm taking you out because the crew is mine.
Yeah,
and that's
exactly
what I'd love to see. So,
yep.
Hopefully.
Completely agree with you. Thank you. Okay, now, up next, we had Vinny Massaro versus Pentagon Jr.
How are those dreams doing, Vinny?
I wonder if he's related to Ashley.
I don't know about that, but
I mean, he looked a lot larger and hairier than Ashley, but you never know. They have the same last name. They're probably related somehow.
That's true. Everybody's got a connection to somebody else. But...
He looked, though, I mean, speaking of blood relations, he looks like Bull Dempsey's long-lost brother.
Yeah, he really does. He just got beat here. I don't even really know what else to say.
Yeah, Pentagon dominated. He destroyed him, and he beat him with some kind of like a really cool, was it like a pump handle pile driver?
Yeah, it seemed like some kind of pump handle, like, driver of some kind. I don't even know, like, how he got Vinny Massaro, like, off the ground. I just, like, I blinked and I'm like, what? And then he pins him.
But he wasn't done there.
Yeah, he wasn't done there. The crowd loves it. By the way, Lucha Underground fans, between them and NXT fans, like, it feels good to be a fan because they love it, man. They're a group of sadists. They all are. It's like, he's getting the table out like, yeah, make him bleed. And it's just like, oh, okay.
I'm surprised. I would not be surprised if within the next month we don't have break his arm chants.
And then the guy in the hole just like, please, guys, it's just a living. And then his arm just snaps in two. Oh, God.
And I mean, speaking of arms getting broken, Pentagon Jr. also does that to Vinny Massaro.
Yeah, after he power bombs him through
a table. Yeah.
I'm sorry I'm laughing, guys, but it's just because I read one person's reaction. It's like, put him through a table, then wreck his shit. It's like Pentagon.
Ruin his will, then ruin his life.
I know. And then he snaps the arm. But here's the thing. He got the whole Master storyline out of the way in the beginning because he told the ring announcer to say that Pentagon Jr. is dedicating this match to his master. So there was no post-match promo this week. But damn, I want to know.
And again, a change up in the format. They're changing it up. He's not coming out and doing the exact same thing every week, but he's still doing the exact same thing every week.
Exactly. I mean, he introduced a table this week. I mean, I was not expecting that at all.
Plus, I mean, he's talking about how he's dedicating it to his master, but rather than waiting till the end of the match, he just got out of the way at the beginning here. It's a change it and up.
I know. He just knows it's just going to be an easy time. You know what? I know that he's kind of facing scrubs right now, but I really do hope that this storyline, especially when the Master does come in and Pentagon Jr. is like fully under his influence and kind of like that manager-client sort of thing, that Pentagon Jr. really moves up the card, because I would love to see him and Puma, or really any babyface Lucha Underground champion, cross paths with Pentagon Jr., this Pentagon Jr., because he is legit.
Yeah, he's awesome.
So I'm thinking, yeah.
And what's great, though, is that we've gotten so used now to seeing him in these like squash style matches, but we know that he can go because we've seen him in matches where he was in longer and he was amazing. I mean, if you want to count the triple threat where he debuted against Phoenix and Drago, he was incredible. He stood out in that match a lot, and that's against two very talented guys. And he's had other matches since then too where he's went longer and been great.
I completely agree with you, Ashton. I'm telling you, like I said, I think when this whole Cage Puma thing settles, we're getting ready for a very crowded class of contenders, and I'd have to think Pentagon Jr. is a part of that class. And it's amazing to say that. Like, I'm sorry, I hate to keep taking what seems like pot shots, but it feels great to know that you have so many viable contenders on one brand.
That's something that they have in common with NXT, too, because with NXT, sure, Kevin Owens is the champion, but when you look at the crop of guys that you could believe as the NXT World Champions, you've got Neville, you've got Zayn, you've got Itami, you've got Balor, you've got Corbin. I'm sure there are more guys that I'm forgetting and haven't listed, but there are, I mean, right there is a minimum of 5. I think that you'd be lucky to come up with 3 guys in the WWE right now who you could believe as someone that could beat Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, and that has just as much to do with Brock Lesnar's booking as it is with just the depth of talent. But with Lucha Underground, they don't have that problem because they have a strong champion, but at the same time, he's that champion that, you know, is kind of overcoming the odds. Like, he is that babyface, and it works, though, when you have a roster like this. And Pentagon Jr. just rolls on, and, man, I just love everybody. So, good stuff.
Absolutely. Up next, though, we had our final match, our main event of the evening, King Cuerno versus Johnny Mundo, and immediately the most noticeable thing early on in this was that Johnny Mundo was out for blood.
He was. Oh, God, he was. Two things I want to say right off the bat before we really commit to, like, analyzing all this, because 2 things I really wanted to say when I was watching all this. One, it's great that I've been watching Mundo for so many years, and he still does new stuff in his matches that, like, I've never seen.
Quite a bit of them, too.
Yeah. And the second thing is just more on a personal note, because, you know, with this whole Daniel Bryan, Roman Reigns debacle, I'm just kind of sitting here. And you know what? I'm really grateful to Lucha Underground for having Mundo on their roster and for having the working relationship that they do, because I've really been able to enjoy this run for what it is. Because when he was in WWE, I was all like, yeah, we got to get to that main event, got to win those titles. And don't get me wrong, people, he wins that Lucha Underground title, I am losing my goddamn shit, and one of us is going to have it recorded. But I can just enjoy him having great matches like every other week now, or maybe a bit longer depending on what they work out. It's just, I love that I can just enjoy watching him compete. And Cuerno was just brilliant in this, and it's just great to know that I'm not so wrapped up in those other things, and I can just enjoy this run for what it is, because this was an amazing main event. Absolutely. So thank you, Lucha Underground. That's really the beautiful
thing about having options, man. Like, if WWE does stupid things that we disagree with, we can look past it, praise them for what they're doing well, and then we have our nice little sort of oasis here in Lucha Underground and, of course, NXT.
Yeah, I mean, it's just absolutely wonderful. And
it's like, you're angry at WWE? Oh, man, if only you could kind of take that anger out on something. I don't know.
You know, if only you could, you know, find a product or just something that you could invest positively into. And I'm just so grateful that we have that. And again, it's just looking at my guy and not worrying about, oh, well, where is he on the card? And, oh, is he getting put? Like, I'm not worried about that crap.
I'll tell you where he is on the card. Everywhere.
Yeah, dude, these guys fought it out. For God's sakes, Mundo was so determined to beat Cuerno. And this is what I was talking about seeing things from him that I've never seen. For one thing, he did, like, this weird backflip looking thing over the ropes.
Oh, yeah, like the double side flip?
Yeah, the double side flip, which it wasn't like a corkscrew body press. It was a little different than that.
It was a little different, but it wasn't a lot different.
Wasn't a lot different. That's why, yeah, definitely a little different. But the big thing that he did that I've never seen him do, he did a spear. Freaking spear in this match. And I'm like, what? So I love it. I love the little change-ups, you know, when he's more aggressive. He got the knee right out of the box. Like, holy crap. But then Cuerno wasn't having that crap because he started working over Mundo's leg. And Cuerno, like, whoever the opponent is, the psychology is always so on point, and I think it needs to be, considering that he has a hunter gimmick.
Dude,
so I think it makes
I'm going to just go ahead and say it. King Cuerno is a ring general.
He is. He absolutely is. Like,
I don't care who he's going against. I'm convinced he could work a broomstick and make it look like that broomstick deserves all your sympathy.
Yeah, abso-freaking-lutely. I mean, guys, don't get it twisted. For as much as it is, like, about me, like, oh, yay, oh my god, I get to see Mundo compete, and that is very true. You don't sleep on King Cuerno. Not by a long shot. This guy is so legit. It is ridiculous. Yeah. God, well, let me just get to the spot that kind of had me losing my mind. 3 times Cuerno dives to the ropes on Mundo, and then the 3rd time, right in the heart, and it was his bow and arrow, because he even did, like, the pose and everything beforehand. Cuerno, his stock is so high right now that if I wasn't convinced, with Cage being an absolute freak, that he was going to take the belt off Puma, Cuerno would be my immediate number 2 for that honor.
Yep.
Without a doubt.
Which is crazy, because Mil Muertes is still a thing.
He's still a thing, dude, and I'm not saying, like, his momentum's gone or anything, I don't mean it like that, but he's sidetracked right now.
He is getting sort of, like, broken down in order to be built back up.
Exactly. So for me, as much as I love Muertes, and as much as I hope that he doesn't hear this and tries to come find me, like, yeah, he gets demoted a little bit because Cuerno is just on another level right now. And like, him and Mundo, man, tore it up. He tried going for the end of the world, did Mundo. Cuerno was like, screw that. Kicks him in the leg, sends him on the outside. I mean, he just had him so scouted. Again, really playing up that hunter gimmick, which is such a perfect gimmick in execution. Mundo, though, comes right back. And ultimately, like, it does end in a double countout. I was disappointed. I was getting so into this. I'm like, no, ref, don't you do it, man. Don't you do, you give them wiggle room. You let them get back in that ring. And then it was like, then I'm like, oh, son of a bitch. then they continue the fight on the outside. And then, Ashton, that's where the big brawl occurs.
Dude, before we even talk about the big brawl, I just want to say, I've said it earlier, King Cuerno with that freaking arrow shot suicide dive, he hit that 3 times in a row here.
Yeah, and each time was just so on point. I think
the second one was my favorite.
The second one was your favorite. See, I was getting ready to say the first and the third, I think, were mine. But,
but the second one was the one where he shot Mundo into the freaking announce desk.
Yeah, that was brutal. And Mundo's just laid out like, okay, I'm just gonna rest here for 20 minutes.
Although, yeah, I mean, the first one he knocked Mundo into the barricade, so that was pretty brutal too.
Yeah, and then the third.
I would say the third one was the weakest because he just kind of hit that, and then they both just kind of laid there. But one thing I will say, I love that King Cuerno could have made it back into the ring before the count of 10, but he didn't. He refused to because he was so obsessed with Johnny Mundo that he wasn't going to allow himself to win by countout.
I'm getting dangerously close to just feeling like King Cuerno's whole hunter vibe is one of my favorite things going on in wrestling, just in general, as far as characters and things go.
I'm already there. He's brilliant.
And I know you're already there, and that's wonderful, because I know you've been saying for a long time, like, how brilliant you think he is and everything like that, and I agree. I'm getting close. The only reason I don't go like that far is I'm just really trying to think of like all the other gimmicks, and I'm like, I don't want to be hyperbolic.
It's so funny too, because when Cuerno first showed up, to face Drago, I was like, oh, who's this scrub encroaching on Drago's territory? Because I love Drago so much. But he showed up and he had a decent match, and they were good, and they were relatively compelling. But then, like, next thing you know, these guys are doing these ridiculous no disqualification stipulations, and Cuerno was like doing everything well. And then I think this whole thing with Mundo has really put him over the top with me.
Oh, absolutely. And again, you know, for me, just to see Mundo in programs like this, I don't care if he loses to Cuerno, wins, whatever. The idea that these guys are going out and having matches like this it's just unbelievable. And
I
it
think
has me
what
on the
I
edge of my
love
seat,
most about Lucha Underground is that not everybody has to talk. I love that. And don't get me wrong, if somebody's good at talking, I love hearing them talk. Like Paul Heyman, CM Punk, even like Dean Ambrose and BNB sometimes. I love hearing those guys talk. But not everybody has to be a good talker in order to get over. Not, I mean, King Cuerno is the perfect example. He's never spoken a word. For God's sake, the champion, Prince Puma, has never spoken a word, but he has a mouthpiece that does it for him. That's what I love about and Pentagon Jr. even, he talks sometimes, but he doesn't even speak English. And I still freaking love his character. Drago doesn't speak. Phoenix doesn't speak. I love the amount of, and the great thing is then you can build up to moments like a couple of weeks ago, Mil Muerte saying his first words. I need nothing. Perfect. Cut to black. You're done, kid.
And that's the thing. I mean, even with the people that you've never really heard talk, or maybe you feel like really can't talk, keep them to succinct promos if you have to have them talk.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be these big, almost like you're verbalizing your memoirs for an audience.
Yeah, like Roman Reigns coming out and establishing everything that's happened to him over the course of the last month. We know, we watched.
And you know what, like, that's what I used to hate about TNA, like, even when I was, like, actively watching it. Like, there would be moments going on in the ring, and they would always, like, talk over them and be like, I can see, I know what's going on. Like, I don't need you to tell me that this guy is taking a steel chair to this guy's back, like, 15 times. I can see it. I can hear it. And I love how, the performers and commentary, when they need to, they let moments breathe and speak for themselves. And it just works so well. And then you want to talk about moments. I mean, this brawl between Cuerno and Mundo was just amazing. I mean, they went everywhere. They went up the stairs. They started fighting through the crowd. And then I think it pretty much ended.
At one point, Mundo hit a freaking swinging roundhouse kick, like a sort of like a Kofi Kingston Trouble in Paradise kind of thing.
That's right, yeah.
At another point, he did a through the ropes sort of suicide dive to Cuerno.
Yeah, and then,
like what Sami Zayn does when he does his tornado DDT.
That's right, yeah, that's right. And then when they were fighting up the steps, he got Cuerno in a seated position, and he did another knee strike to him on those steps, and they were just fighting through the crowd. Cuerno was kind of balancing himself on something because they were pointing out how he knows the arena because they likened it to a jungle, which still, I'm all for it. It works. Kicking Mundo in the chest and keeping him at bay when Mundo tried dumping him over and killing him, for God's sakes. And then finally it came to a head when I think Mundo just dove like all of his body weight onto Cuerno through the steel kind of fencing, and they were both laid out. So now I just kind of have to get down on my knees and beg Lucha Underground, tell me you're giving these guys a Falls Count Anywhere matchup, because I want it now.
I know. Yeah, I even earlier on, I was even going to be like, John, what did you say about what you wanted because of this brawl? But that was way too early, so now I'm glad you're saying it now.
Yeah, I mean, I saw it, and I'm like, that has to be the end game. Like, anything else, I'm not saying it would be horrendous, but after you give me something that brilliant, would just be unacceptable. I'd be like...
Well, I think that just about any no-rules match, whether it's like a Boyle Heights street fight, or some kind of a version of a Last Man Standing, or an I Quit match, or something like that, anything like that could work, but I think that the Falls Count Anywhere would be the best option.
Well, I mean, because in WWE, that was kind of Mundo's specialty for one thing, and I think you could really use the quote-unquote parkour offense there. Cuerno, you go back to him knowing the jungle inside and out. And hell, with Lucha Underground, I bet you that if these guys gave us a Falls Count Anywhere match, it would actually feel like a Falls Count Anywhere match. And I could see them go into parts of the temple. Hell, if I wasn't so scared about that prison, maybe they'd even fight in that prison and do stuff in there. Like, I could just see them doing just like a bunch of crazy things. And with the cinematic qualities they have on top of it, maybe they'd find a way to infuse it all in there. They got something really special on their hands just with the product as a whole. And then you take a main event like this, and I can't wait to see it.
You know what I kind of want to see?
What's that?
Now, I don't know if this is a good idea or if this would be the best way to go about it, but or even if this match, if they're ever going to do something like this, if this is the best match to do it with, but I want to see a match that starts in the ring, works its way up the ramp, or maybe even into Cueto's office, into somewhere that we're used to seeing in these sort of cinematic videos, and then we switch over and we get a pre-taped cinematic fight between these guys.
That would be pretty cool.
And then maybe like 2 or 3 minutes later they can come back out and sort of make it seem like they were fighting the whole time, even if it was pre-taped. But I would love to see kind of that fusion of like the in-ring gritty, like the underground feel, and the dark, gloomy, cinematic style of their promos. I think that would be such a cool mixture.
Well, right, though, like, that's what I'm saying. If these two are going to do a Falls Count Anywhere match, give it that feel of an actual Falls Count Anywhere match. Because, again, not to rag on WWE, but the last few times you see a Falls Count Anywhere match, I mean, where do they go? Into the crowd? That's
yeah, I mean, back in the day, they used to take it backstage into the parking lot, that kind of thing. For God's sake, wasn't it a Falls Count Anywhere match that Edge ended up getting thrown into the whatever sound it was? I
think that was just kind of a brawling segment, not a Falls Count Anywhere. But
well, even still, though, they don't do that. They don't do that kind of stuff anymore either.
Yeah, and, like, I just feel like with Lucha Underground, with these two guys, and if you really want to make it seem like hatred, guys, take it places. Plus, it's a temple, and, I mean, what kind of themes do you communicate with a temple? You know, avarice, blood, glory, things like that. Have them kill each other. I want to see it bad, man. They got me hooked. Something fierce.
Absolutely. This show is incredible.
It was, and we weren't even done there, because then what happened, Ashton, after this whole brawl concluded?
Well, I mean, not really a lot from like an action standpoint, but we did get another sneak peek at Angela Fong, and someone opened the trunk and asked her, I don't know, what do you know about something? It cut off before the guy could finish the line.
I thought, now I'm going to have to go back on a rewatch, so I want to say that I am not claiming 100% knowledge here. I thought he said, what do you know about Lucha Libre? Come with me, because then it cut to her, and she kind of, I guess, eyes widened with fear, her mouth was taped, and he says, come with me, and that's when it closes. So holy crap. I mean, who abducted Angela Fong? Why do they care what's going on in the temple? What's going on? I'll have my questions answered not next week when Lucha Underground pleases, and I'm okay with that.
Yep, exactly. Man. It's so good. I love it. And then that's the beautiful thing is, I am able to sort of put my trust in Lucha Underground that they're going to reveal just enough next week to make me feel satisfied and wanting more at the same time.
Absolutely. That was beautifully said.
I think the WWE kind of misses out on the feeling satisfied part, and they just kind of focus on trying to leave you wanting more.
Yeah.
They're like, you can't have both, damn it.
Nice Vince McMahon impression, but I'm not even going to add any more to that. I think your sentiments are really echoed over here, and they were summed up perfectly. So with that said, let's get into our next segment, high spots and low shots. And you know what? I hate to be that guy. I think my low shot... No, do I want to do that? No, I will do that. I'm going to say my low shot is Sexy Star. Because while I commend her for wanting, to get a piece of the crew and this and that, she realizes now it's not going to come easy, and she's going to have to go through Big Rick next week. Now, I wouldn't even want to face Big Rick. I wouldn't wish Johnny Mundo on Big Rick. That's because he's out for blood. He is pissed right now. He lost his freaking eye to the crew. I don't think Sexy Star is going to be in for a good night next week, so I think she bit off a little more than she could chew. I'm going to have to give her my low shot.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think it's almost a bad thing that they put Sexy Star in this position, because here's my thing. This could have been anyone. If it would have been Prince Puma, if this would have been Drago, if it would have been Johnny Mundo, I would have wanted a straight-up squash match. Big Rick dominates whoever it is. But the fact that they're putting Sexy Star in there, like, it almost seems like, oh, well, why would I want Sexy Star to get dominated when they've been doing such a great job of keeping her strong and making her seem like an equal, and sort of, I don't know, the way they portrayed her is so well done, and now she's going against Big Rick, and, I mean, hell, it's still equal. I still want Big Rick to destroy her.
Oh, I do too. But you know what I think's going to happen now, the more I mull it over? Watch the crew, because they realize there are two choices. They may do a run-in next week, and they may cost Big Rick the matchup somehow. I don't know if it would be like a ref bump or something.
That would be a very heelish thing to do, though. Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, it would fit them, though, right? Because, I mean, if you're the crew, you're the three guys in the back, you're watching this, and they're going to
Maybe they want revenge over Sexy Star.
Not only revenge over Sexy Star, but, I mean, in their minds, they're thinking, okay, Big Rick, this jagged up dude whose eye we burned out, or Sexy Star, who, feels like she has something to prove, but we only took out her friends, and she's not going to have the same hatred as Big Rick does. Yeah, we'll take Sexy Star.
Well, and not only that, but again, though, they lost to Sexy Star. She pinned one of them, so they're probably pissed about that, too. So, I mean, if anything, they would want revenge over her rather than Big Rick getting his revenge against them.
And you know what? Cuerno, because he has an actual business relationship with the crew, I mean, for God's sakes, you saw him pay them off and say, great work, taking out Big Rick. He's not going to leave it to chance of feeding them to the wolves. I think the crew's going to have a heavy hand in that match next week. Regardless, I don't, 6 stars my low shot. And who'd you say your low shot again was, Ashton, before I do my high spot?
Well, I didn't yet.
Oh, you didn't yet? We were still talking about mine. Okay, so who's your low shot?
My low shot's Prince Puma.
Oh, perfect.
He got destroyed, man. And not only did he get destroyed, but his manager kind of made him quit. He lost by forfeit.
Yeah, he did. Which leaves a lot to their relationship. I mean, they did have a segment where, Conan said, hey, whether you realize it or not, or whether you like it or not, I saved you out there. Now, remember Art of War, the act of deception. Let's go put our plan into action. So Conan, the wheels are turning for him, I think, to maybe have Puma keep the gold. Now, you made a point when we were talking about Cage, how he has a temper. We saw that when he got DQ'd in his first match with Puma, and now here when he didn't go for the pin after Weapon X and just chose to continue to beat on Puma. I think Conan may have put 2 and 2 together and be like, hey, we got a raging bull here. Let's make him see red and keep that championship.
Yeah, let's use that against him. Exactly.
So, yeah, great choice for Puma, though, for the time being, because he did get absolutely demolished.
It's so funny that you made the Raging Bull comparison, because I literally have in my notes, Cage saw red.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, God, high spot. Who is my high spot guy? You know what? It's weird, but I'm going to say my high spot is Aerostar, and my honorary high spot would be Drago, and I say that because now these guys have something to fight for. Yeah. I'd love to give it to either, either guy in the main event. But for me, you have Aerostar and Drago now. They were once just fighting out of respect, but now Cuerno has come with the carrot. I mean, the reason Aerostar takes the primary high spot is because he won the match.
Right. Yeah, of course.
Both guys, have a chance at these stakes, and I love it because these were both guys who, I don't want to say were in some kind of limbo, but yeah, I think that's what I'm going to go with. They didn't really seem like they were on an upward climb or even downward. They were just kind of there, and now it seems like they've got a plan in place, and that's why I love Lucha Underground. That place for everything in its place, and they got a plan for everybody. So we'll see. We'll see what this prize is.
Absolutely. My high spot is Pentagon Jr. I don't want to give it to Cuerno or Mundo because I was thinking about giving it to Cuerno because he had such a great showing in the match, and he could have won if he wanted to. But then Mundo got the huge upper hand in the brawl, so I can't really rightfully give it to either one of those guys. So yeah, to me, it really does come down to Pentagon Jr. He had a very impressive showing yet again. It seems like he's making quicker and quicker work of his opponents each week. And again, dedicated to his master, so I'm just looking forward to that being revealed.
Absolutely, completely agree with you. With that said, Ashton, do you have anything else you want to say about this episode of Lucha Underground?
Absolutely not. Just that it was a great show, as usual, and that I'm looking forward to next week.
All right, guys, with that said, this has been Lucha Underground. This has been TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John. That's my cohort and commentary, Ashton. Guys, be sure to comment and subscribe on YouTube. We've really been appreciating all the energy and feedback you've been giving us lately. Keep it up. What did you think of Cuerno Mundo? Do you want a false count anywhere match as bad as I do? What about Cage Puma? Who's going to come out on top for that championship? Be sure to take the conversation over to Tweetoff, an amazing pro wrestling group on Facebook. I'm telling you, nicest guys you'll ever meet there. Would I ever lie to you? Of course not. Don't be ridiculous. But with that said, we will see you again for our NXT review, where Becky Lynch and Bayley lock it up once again. Who will experience women's supremacy in the NXT ring? And of course, by supremacy, I mean second best, because hello, Sasha's a thing. But until then, you guys know what to do. Tune in and peace out.